Okay, let's unpack this. You've brought us a source today titled Riches in India and the Arab World. Now, it looks pretty concise, but that title, wow, it opens up a huge door, doesn't it? It points towards, well, centuries of global influence, this vast area of study. So our mission really is to dig into what those riches actually were and maybe why they still resonate today.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on quite a journey, I think, into the worlds of the super rich, specifically in India and the Arab world. Opulent, often pretty opaque worlds. We're looking at this massive concentration of wealth, the controversies swirling around, and maybe, just maybe, connections to, well, shadows and secrets.
Yeah, and it's really important right from the start for you listening to approach this with a critical eye. We are going into some controversial areas. Some of the info, well, it's speculative by nature. Our goal here is just to lay out different viewpoints, what's been reported in the sources we looked at. So we really want you to think critically about all this, form your own conclusions.
Okay, so let's try and unpack the sheer scale first. In India, you've got a situation where millions are still in poverty, yet the top 1%, they hold over 40% of the country's wealth. That's just staggering. We're talking huge family names like the Ambanis, the Adanis, empires built on everything from energy, infrastructure, telecoms, media, you name it. And their power isn't just money, is it? It's deeply, deeply political too.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is you see a real parallel in the Arab world, particularly the Gulf states. I mean, unimaginable wealth, mostly built historically on oil and gas. You have royal families, powerful business dynasties. Their fortunes can dwarf the GDP of smaller nations. And their investments, their political moves, they really do have a global ripple effect now.
Right. But with that kind of wealth, that kind of power, scrutiny follows. Controversy is almost like part of the package. In India, you constantly hear allegations of crony capitalism, political favors. It dogs the wealthiest figures. Take the Hindenburg report on the Adani Group. That wasn't small. It sent actual shockwaves, alleging stock manipulation, accounting fraud. Serious stuff.
Very serious. And if you connect that dot globally, the Arab world isn't somehow immune. Think about the Pandora Papers leak back in 2021. Huge. It just peeled back the curtain on hidden wealth, complex offshore deals involving lots of big names, even royals. It paints this picture, doesn't it? A kind of global elite operating in, well, financial secrecy, far away from public eyes, from tax authorities.
Yeah, it really does. And that secrecy, that concentration of power, it leads us naturally to this idea of secret societies, doesn't it? The term itself just conjures up images, right? Dark rooms, rituals, hidden hands. Historically, they've been all sorts of philosophical groups, benevolent ones, but also revolutionary cells, political cabals.
Exactly. And India has its own history here with, say, Freemasonry. Lodges were set up back during the British Raj. And we know prominent Indians were members. Motilal Nehru, for instance, the father of the first prime minister. Now, today, Freemasonry in India presents itself as, fraternal, charitable, focused on self-improvement. But that history of secrecy, the influential members, it naturally fuels speculation, doesn't it? About its role, perhaps behind the scenes, in power structures.
And the Middle East, too, has its own sort of esoteric history. You had groups like the Brethren of Purity in, 9th or 10th century Iraq?
That's right. Philosophers trying to blend faith and reason.
And then there are the Indian legends, like the 9 unknown men, supposedly set up by Emperor Ashoka way back when to guard dangerous knowledge. It's this recurring idea of secret knowledge equals power.
It is. It's a powerful trope. And it makes you ask the question, right? Are these just historical footnotes now, interesting stories? Or have those older kinds of secret groups maybe morphed into something else, more modern, perhaps more influential global networks operating differently?
This is exactly where we kind of wade into the conspiracy theory territory. It gets murky. It's a world where, hard evidence is often thin on the ground, but the stories, the narratives are incredibly potent. You hear names like the Bilderberg Group or the Bohemian Grove, these exclusive, secretive gatherings. Now, the public attendee lists we have, they don't really feature Indian or Arab billionaires prominently, but the secrecy itself just fuels the fire. People ask, who else is there? Who isn't on the list we see?
And in India, you definitely see this applied. The really fast rise of someone like Gautam Adani. Some circles link it to deep state or some kind of globalist agenda. They point to his close political ties, the seemingly unstoppable growth of his companies, as like proof of some hidden hand. You even hear the name George Soros pop up in critiques of Adani, suggesting some big hidden conflict or plan.
Yeah, and then shifting to the Arab world, conspiracy theories are just Well, they're a really common feature there, part of the landscape, often weaving together worries about Western interference, regional power plays, even sectarian conflicts within Islam. These narratives can be powerful tools, can't they, for explaining away complex stuff or maybe discrediting opponents.
They absolutely can be. And it's really crucial we note here, uh, some of these theories, especially in the Arab context, can unfortunately have anti-Semitic or anti-Western flavors. They sometimes recycle very old, harmful tropes about secret groups controlling global finance or politics. So just to be clear, our role here is just to report impartially that these theories exist in our source material. We're not endorsing them, just explaining their content.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Huge wealth, controversies, history, modern theories. What can we actually say for sure about today's super rich in India and the Arab world being in like formal card-carrying secret societies? The direct proof, the smoking gun, seems to be missing, right? Mostly speculation. No leaked membership lists from lodges, no minutes from secret ritual meetings involving them.
Right. That direct link seems tenuous based on available evidence. However, what things like the Pandora Papers have shown very clearly is maybe a different kind of secret society. It's this global network, the ultra-wealthy, using this incredibly complex web of offshore companies, anonymous trusts, legal loopholes, basically tools to shield assets and influence. This society isn't bound by oaths or rituals in the old sense. It's bound by a shared, very powerful interest, keeping and growing immense wealth, often outside the normal reach of national laws, of public scrutiny. We're calling this the Gilded Veil.
The Gilded Veil, I like that. It captures it. Because this kind of financial secrecy, it allows for a level of coordination, of influence, that could actually rival any historical secret society. Think about it. When just a few people or families control so much of a nation's wealth, their private decisions end up having very public consequences.
Exactly.
Their business interests can suddenly become national interests. Their personal connections can shape politics, all happening behind this veil.
It's almost hiding in plain sight, isn't it? So maybe the real secret isn't locked away in some Masonic temple or a hidden grove. Maybe it's right there, embedded in the legal code, in the financial havens. The structures that let a tiny few operate globally with a secrecy and power most people can barely imagine.
So maybe the whole narrative, the idea of the super rich in these regions being in secret societies, maybe it's more of a powerful metaphor than literal fact, reflecting this deep underlying anxiety about concentrated power, about the lack of transparency that comes with it.
That makes sense.
The appeal of the secret society story is it gives a simple answer, right? For complex, often worrying things like huge inequality or hidden political influence.
Perhaps. Perhaps the real secret, the one we should be focusing on, isn't about rituals but about structures. The legal and financial architectures that allow this gilded veil to exist, that allow this select group to operate on a global stage with such opacity.
So this shadow empire, as some might call it might not have a formal name or membership role, but its influence is definitely felt across the globe. Something for you to think about. What does this pervasive, often invisible influence mean for our economies, for our politics? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Lots to mull over.